Hey folks, Kevin the Fit Chef here with Fit Chef TV, here to show you another great recipe to help you flex on your next meal. Today I got something real fun and exciting for you. This is something real special right here. We're gonna have a roasted pork tenderloin with a sweet potato mash that's gonna have a little bit of butter, some cinnamon in it, a little brown sugar, but then the big highlight of this dish is gonna be the maple garlic Brussels sprouts. I don't know about you, as a kid, I did not like Brussels sprouts. Then somewhere along the lines, I decided that these Brussels sprouts are actually really good. It's probably because of the maple syrup. So get ready for this, guys, because we have something special coming up. All right, so to make this dish absolutely phenomenal, the first thing you have to do is we got to put the sweet potatoes in the oven. Well, this is probably the easiest step. 375 degrees, you're gonna put this in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. The goal here is to get these guys nice and caramelized. That way you bring out the natural sweetness, which I think we did that in the sweet potato waffle a little while back, a couple episodes, right? So while those guys are going, we're gonna go right into our Brussels sprouts. Obviously, if you never worked with a Brussels sprout before, you have this kind of the bud end that comes off the vine. It's like a weird stalk. It's kind of interesting. Have you ever seen a Brussels sprout stalk, right? So cut off the edge just like this, cut it in half, and you're gonna go through and we're gonna cut a good bit of these guys up. Once you get these guys good and chopped up, and you're gonna get a hot saute pan over here, just like so. And what I'm gonna do is take this lid off and I'm gonna put a little bit of butter in there. So once this butter starts to melt down for a little bit, I'm gonna continue to cut these guys up just a little bit more. Now with this saute pan here, you only wanna have it about medium-low heat. Brussels sprouts are very thick, they're very hearty, so it takes a little while to kind of break them down a little bit. You wanna make sure you kind of cook it real nice and slow. You wanna make sure that you cook it to where it kind of brings out, you know, that natural sweetness, because Brussels sprouts have a nice little sweetness to them, but they also have a little sulfur to it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some garlic, and then we're gonna add a little splash of maple syrup and a little salt to these guys. So going through, cutting these guys in half. Saute pan's a little warm. I'm gonna throw these guys directly in there. And so with this one, you're gonna hear a little sizzle, but you're not gonna hear too much. The goal here is to really cook these nice, slow. It's gonna take about 15 minutes. You wanna come through, you wanna check the pan a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of chopped garlic to it. So about 1 to 2 cloves, depending on how big your cloves are. Obviously, if you see this guy right here, some pretty big cloves out there. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, just a little sprinkle like this. And then about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Like I said, that maple syrup is gonna help bring out the natural sweetness in the Brussels sprouts. And we're gonna let this go for a little while. I'm gonna put a lid on it. That way, with that lid, it kind of acts as a convection. That way, it kind of steams the Brussels sprouts, and it'll help you kind of break them down really easily. That way, you don't have to worry about raw, crunchy Brussels sprouts. You know, I didn't like them as a kid, but now I love them, and I promise you, you're gonna love these too. So I got my sweet potato going, I got the Brussels sprouts going, and then next, I'm gonna show y'all how to clean a pork tenderloin, and we'll get that going, okay? All right, so we have our Brussels sprouts, they're getting nice, soft, and tender, and we have our sweet potatoes in the oven, they're getting good and soft themselves. I'm gonna move this guy over, and we're gonna get ready to cook this pork loin. So, best thing to do is do like a medium-high heat on this guy. I'm gonna turn it on, there we go, medium-high. You can get a nice pork loin from your local grocery shop, all that. Now, if you get a pork tenderloin, you're gonna have this little piece of silver skin that's gonna go across the top. What this is this is the connection that connects it to the tendons of the joints and bones and all this kind of stuff. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide a knife right up underneath the bottom of this guy and come out the end, and then we're gonna hold it up in the air, and having the knife at just a little bit of an angle, we're gonna go through and we're gonna slide it off just like this. There we go. And I got a little bit more to go through. Perfect. So while our pan is getting hot, I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil to it. I want about a tablespoon of olive oil, and that way we can make sure that it really gets lubricated so it doesn't stick to the pan. There's nothing worse than having meat getting stuck to the pan, and then you're losing half of it and it's kind of getting stuck in there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna season this real easy with just some good old-fashioned steak seasoning. You can get this at the store, convenience store, grocery store, whatever, or you can use whatever favorite seasoning you want. My goal here is just to get a nice little coating of seasoning across all ends, just like this. That pan should start to get kind of hot pretty well. And what we're gonna do is you're gonna take the thick end down, hold the pan at an angle, and then go to the other angle like that. There you go. That guy's going in there just like this. We're gonna let this cook on both sides. Well, probably all three sides, because whenever you do a pork tenderloin, it kind of starts to turn into a little bit of a triangle. So we're gonna rotate this around as much as we can. The goal is we're gonna sear it off on all three sides, and then we're gonna put it directly into the oven, 375, right next to the sweet potatoes, and we're gonna put it in there for roughly about 3 to 5 minutes. That way that indirect heat coming from the oven kind of coats it from all angles. That way you get even cooking. And we're looking for about 135 degrees. That way we're bringing out a nice medium to medium well pork. By the way, you can eat pork a little bit undercooked. This day nowadays, nobody's getting sick from pork like they did back in the old days. I promise you, a lot of my parents, my grandparents, they hated eating pork that was undercooked. Don't worry, it's okay, I promise you. If it hasn't killed me, it probably won't kill you. So, wash my hands up a little bit, because obviously we got a little cross-contamination. Get this guy going. Perfect. So I'm gonna let this cook for a second, clean up this cutting board, and then come right back to you. So this guy's been cooking for about 4 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and start to kind of rotate it a little bit. So really, it looks like I only need to do about one side on this. So I'm gonna let it sear just like this on this bottom side. I'm gonna check these Brussels sprouts real fast. Oh, look at that. These guys are great. They're nice and soft and tender. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this guy directly into the oven. That means our sweet potatoes should be just about ready. As soon as I pull those sweet potatoes out, I'm gonna grab a bowl and we're gonna go ahead and mix them up. I'm gonna show you the next step. All right, so our pork just went into the oven. I think those sweet potatoes are almost just about done. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these guys out. Oh yeah, these are looking great right here. So we have 2 sweet potatoes, about good medium-sized sweet potato. I'm gonna pull out a mixing bowl here. And then, depending on how brave you are, you can always use your hands. Oh, it's a little hot potato. Or you can kind of use some tongs to kind of peel the skins off pretty easily. They should come off really nice. You should see that real bright, vibrant color right there. Trust me, I've been doing this for a while, so grabbing a hot potato is not a problem. I used to play that game with my daughter all the time. And so she still loves it. I still love doing this. And of course, I have no feeling in my fingertips right now. So that's great. So put this guy in here. I'm gonna get about 3 tablespoons of butter. Put that in there. Then I'm gonna use about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then, ooh, brown sugar. Gotta add a little sweetness to it. So we're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar to this. And of course, with everything in life, it all tastes a little bit better with just a little bit more salt. Not a whole lot, roughly about a half a teaspoon to a whole teaspoon. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and mash all these up. And we're gonna use this handy dandy little tool here. This is usually a biscuit cutter or a dough cutter, whatever this is. I don't know, right now I'm mashing sweet potatoes out of it. It'd be great. So I'm gonna get this good mashed up, get it nice and stirred up. Perfect. All right, now let me check this out. Look at that. Perfect, got some sweet potatoes there. I'm gonna look over here at my Brussels sprouts. Oh yeah, these are perfect right here. And now I'm fixing to pull the pork out of the oven. It should be about ready. And then I'm gonna show you how to make a really amazing sauce right quick. All right, let's take a look at this pork, see what it's looking like. It should have been in there for about, I don't know, about 4 to 6 minutes. We're gonna pull this out. Ooh, yeah, that's looking great right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on a plate. I'm gonna let this rest for a few minutes. You wanna let it rest for about a minute or so, so that way all those juices kind of come back in there. In the meanwhile, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this pan into a sauce to go across the top of the pork. So, using the skillet, I'm gonna turn it on right quick again. And then, using about a half a cup of beef stock, I'm gonna add it in here to the bottom of this pan right here. Kind of deglaze the pan just a little bit. I'm gonna add in a few little sprigs of thyme, just like this. That way you can kind of scrape and pull the bottom of this pan together right here. Let this kind of pull that fond, the F-O-N-D. That's where all the nice caramelization at the bottom of the pan. That way it brings all that natural flavor, all that great stuff that comes out of the pork. I'm gonna let this cook for just a second, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of butter to it, so I'm gonna get a nice little nappe, which is gonna make a nice little sauce to go across the top of that pork. So, let this cook down just a split second. There we are. And then I'm gonna grab a little piece of this butter, throw that in there. I'm gonna turn it off the heat. Doesn't take much. And then let this kind of reduce down just a little bit and get thickened. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna put all this aside. And I got a nice, gorgeous looking plate right here today. I'm gonna pull this out and we're gonna scoop up all this good stuff and make a plate. Let's see what happens. So, nice big scoop of sweet potatoes right here. This is gonna be more of a family style dish. That way you can kind of pass it around to everybody in the house. There we are. Put that there. Tell you what, I'm gonna move this out of the way right here. And oh gosh, where are we going? I'm gonna put it right here. And we are right there. Let's check out these Brussels sprouts. Oh yeah, this is the good stuff right here. And I'm gonna put the Brussels sprouts on here. There we are. Nice big pile of Brussels sprouts. I'm gonna check on my sauce here. Now, let's cut this guy open right here. So like I said, I'm looking for a nice medium to medium well. I'm gonna go across. And what you wanna do is cut it at slight angle, just like this. Go down. And remember, the old trick is thinner is tender. So you want a nice thin slices, nice little angle, go across. Oh yeah, that's a perfect medium right there. I love it. This is gonna be absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait. Then kind of layer it down like some shingles and lay it across the front, just like that. Here we are. Wipe off the cutting board because I'm gonna cut up some chives. And then take a little bit of this sauce, this pan dripping sauce, and go across the top. There we are. Perfect. If you want to be fancy, you can add the garnishment, just like that. And here you go. Perfect. You got roasted pork tenderloin with sweet potato mash and some maple garlic braised Brussels sprouts. We appreciate y'all coming out. If you want to catch this recipe in the future, it's going to come out in a cookbook later on in this year in 2022. By the way, you can always catch me, Kevin the Fit Chef, on Instagram and also on Facebook. And thank y'all for coming out. I can't wait to see y'all next time.